going to throw a new choke cable on the 350. The old one's very seized, as you can see, not going up or down. It's stuck in the down. I don't really use the choke to start it much, but it's really helpful if it hasn't ran for a couple months. And we're halfway through winter, and I want to have the quad ready for the spring when we're going to go give her all the way. Plastic off, there you should be able to track down your choke cable attached to the carb. It's a 14mm wrench. I got mine loose enough that I can just spin it off with my fingers. And yeah, we're not just going to pull the choke cable because there was mud coming out of the carburetor, which I do not think is very healthy. So now we're doing a full carb pull. Box out, because you need to do that to get the carb out of here. And the easiest way to get that big air box out of there, unbolt this little clamp here, which connects it to the carb. And then you got this hose down here. It's like a vent hose. It's got some pieces in there. It's the easiest way to get that thing off is to just take a seal pick and jam it, because the hose goes on here. So just jam it in between your engine and the end of the hose, start peeling it back, and it'll come off just fine. It works like a charm. It is out. It was pretty easy. You just got to pull it out of everything else, disconnect the throttle cable, and the choke cable finally came out, which I was surprised, because that's the whole reason I decided to pull the carb in the first place, was because there was mud coming out of the choke cable hole. And you just gotta pull the cover for the throttle cable, disconnect the throttle, pull all these hoses, this little heater thing, all the vents, and it comes out pretty easy. That's why we're doing the carb. There's all kind of not so nice stuff in there that cannot be healthy for the engine. If you're cleaning these here carbs, you're going to want to take all the dirt off, the inside and the outside, because if you just clean out the inside, guess what's going to happen to all the dirt on the outside when you go to reset? Here, pull the hoses off so we can take apart the carburetor. So just got to get this guy off without trying to dump fuel everywhere. This guy here in the back off, figure out how to get that thing off. We're going to take this here cap off, and we're going to take the bowl off. Once you get the bowl out, just take this little piece off the top of here, because it's just going to get in your way. And spray it down with Carb Clean, and use an air line and just blow the Carb Clean and dirt out of it. After you blow up your carb, just spray out all the parts with Carb Clean, and then I'd say we're just about ready to start putting her back together. She looks all pretty like, and I think it's a little cleaner than it was before, so it should increase my horsepower by 5%. The hoses are back on. It took me, at least 10 minutes just to figure out where they all went, but finally got them all back together, and now we're ready to put the carb back in. But first we're gonna get on with what we originally took the quad apart for, getting this here choke cable swapped out, because even though it's not attached to the carb, it still is not even pulling. And moving this thing around, we're not getting nothing. Oh, sorry, that one was that's the throttle. Is choke over here. We're still. Oh, there we go. Now it's moving. But yeah, we were getting. It was seized right into the carb. We're still gonna switch it though, because we have a perfectly good new part. I think it'd be a good idea, because I think I said it before, but nothing's ever been messed around with this carb and choke. I don't think the engine's even been a part of this quad. We've owned it since it was new in '03, and never really had too many problems, so never had no need to take it apart. So yeah, show you guys how to swap out the choke cable real easy. And I'll get that car back in, get the plastics all back on, and we might even take her for a rip tonight. To change out these choke cables is with a piece of wire. Doesn't really matter what kind of wire you use, as long as it's long enough. As long as it's longer than the existing choke cable. So what you're going to want to do is tie the wire onto the end of your old choke cable and tie it on good, because you don't want this thing coming off when you have it halfway through the quad. Loop around the end. Usually an okay way to do it. Well, it's gonna come off. I'll see if I can get it out of there. Bring you guys back. I got their cable really secure onto there, so I started pulling and the wire came right off. Not very far into here, but we got the whole choke cable out. I think it's sitting on the floor over there. Oh yeah, there it is. So I'll show you how we got it out quick. Just unclamp it off that, undo all the zip ties, take the cover off. It's really helpful. And if the wire actually stayed on, the wire would be all the way up here, and then we could just tie it onto the new one and drag it back through. But since the wire came off, things are going to get complicated. New choke cable is now in. Looks shiny and like it'll actually work, unlike the old one. It's time to put carb in now. And then after that, probably the airbox, and then after that, we have to go test it on parts. We got halfway through the reinstallation of this thing and decided to test out the choke cable, and it turns out it wasn't the cable that was seized, it was the valve. It was completely basically welded in there by gasoline and mud, so we had to use an easy out to pull that thing, and we ordered these things in. Actually a really good deal, $35 on Amazon for all the pieces you need to pretty much redo the choke valve and cable, with it, of course coming with the choke cable. Notice it came with these fuel filters, which would be nice. I never ran a filter in that quad before, so maybe it'll make it run a little bit better and keep all the mud from going into the engine, because that's not helpful. But yeah, I got my part, and my brother also needed this part here for his quad. He broke it right off. So every part we needed all in one package for $35 plus spare parts. So I guess we'll get those in, then put the carb back together and put the quad back together. So start a fire the easy way, I guess. Torch, propane torch, and it works really good once you get all the wood on fire, but make sure it's really on fire before you pull the torch. It'll just go out again. The piece fits in there just right. Use a little bit of lube. Now it's time to get this thing back to put together. Quad is put back together. It is time to do a little bit of testing on this thing. So fire it up. You better choke it to test on the choke. Okay, time to go do a little bit of testing. Well, that does it for this one. I'll catch you guys later. So this thing's idle sounds like a John Deere tractor.